Hello, and welcome to 20 Minutes with Jesus. Take a slow breath. You don't need to explain anything right now. Some healing happens quietly, in places you rarely talk about. Let's begin. There are places in the heart we rarely speak about, not because they don't matter, but because they feel difficult to name. Emotions that were never processed, pain that was minimized, thoughts that felt too heavy to share. Silence often becomes a way of surviving. God sees these places, even the ones you have learned to hide, even the ones you don't fully understand yourself. God is not distant from what you don't talk about. He is present there, gently working. Silence does not mean absence of pain. It often means pain learned to stay quiet. You may have learned to move on quickly, to stay strong, to avoid revisiting what hurt. God understands why you did this. He does not criticize your coping. He honors your survival and now invites healing. God heals gently. He does not force confession. He does not demand explanations. He creates safety first. Healing begins where the heart feels safe enough to be honest, even if that honesty is silent. God often begins healing by allowing awareness. You may feel emotions surface unexpectedly, a heaviness you can't explain, a tenderness you didn't expect. This is not regression. It is healing beginning to breathe. God does not heal by exposure. He heals by presence. He sits with you in what you never spoke aloud. He listens without interruption. He meets emotions without rushing resolution. His healing is patient. Unspoken pain shapes the heart quietly. It affects reactions. It influences trust. It shapes expectations. God addresses these hidden places because they matter. What remains unspoken does not disappear. It waits. God does not want pain waiting inside you indefinitely. Healing what you don't talk about requires compassion, especially self-compassion. God invites you to stop judging yourself for what still hurts. Pain that was never healed does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. God heals what you don't talk about by restoring permission. Permission to feel. Permission to rest. Permission to acknowledge what you once ignored. You don't need the right words. God understands the language of sighs, silence, and tears that never fell. He understands what you meant but never said. God heals these places quietly, sometimes through reflection, sometimes through tears, sometimes through peace that arrives without explanation. This healing does not announce itself loudly. It settles gently. It softens reactions. It lightens emotional weight. If today you sense God touching something you rarely talk about, do not pull away. This is not exposure for harm. This is care. God is not reopening wounds to hurt you. He is opening them to heal them. As this episode begins, allow yourself to rest in God's presence without pressure to explain anything. Healing does not require performance. It requires honesty, even silent honesty. God is near the places you don't talk about, and He is healing them, patiently, lovingly, and safely. When God begins to heal what you don't talk about, He starts by creating safety. Healing cannot grow in fear or pressure. God knows that silence often formed as protection. So before He touches the wound, He reassures the heart that it is no longer alone. God does not rush hidden pain. What was buried quietly must be approached gently. God understands that some emotions were never given space to exist. They were ignored, minimized, or pushed aside because survival demanded it. Healing begins when God restores permission to feel. This permission is sacred. You may notice emotions surfacing slowly, not all at once. A sense of sadness without a clear reason, a heaviness that doesn't match the moment, a sensitivity you weren't expecting. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that healing is beginning to awaken what was once frozen. God heals in layers. He does not expose everything at once. He reveals only what the heart can hold. Layer by layer, He brings clarity, understanding, and relief. This protects you from being overwhelmed. God also heals by naming what was never named. Not always with words, but with awareness. You begin to recognize patterns, reactions that suddenly make sense, triggers that point back to old wounds. God brings understanding so confusion loses power. Understanding brings peace. When you realize why something hurts, the pain becomes less threatening. You stop fighting yourself. You stop wondering what is wrong with you. God replaces confusion with compassion. God also heals by restoring emotional honesty. You learn to acknowledge feelings without judging them. You stop telling yourself to be over it. You allow emotions to exist without fear. This honesty opens the door to healing. Silence often taught you to stay strong. Healing teaches you how to stay honest. God heals what you don't talk about by meeting you in quiet moments, in reflection, in prayer without words, in moments where you feel seen without needing to explain. His presence speaks where words are insufficient. God also heals by correcting false beliefs. Pain often forms lies about worth, safety, trust, or responsibility. God gently replaces these lies with truth. He reminds you that what happened does not define you, that pain does not mean failure, that you are not alone. This truth reshapes identity. You begin to see yourself differently, less broken, more human, more loved. Healing restores dignity to places that once felt shameful. God heals by teaching you how to release emotional weight. Some pain has been carried for years without being acknowledged. God invites release, not by force, but by trust. You begin to hand Him what you no longer need to carry alone. Release does not erase memory. It removes weight. God also heals by restoring peace to the body. Hidden pain often lives physically. Tension, fatigue, restlessness. As healing progresses, you may notice subtle physical changes: relaxation, better rest, calmer breathing. Healing is holistic. God heals what you don't talk about because it matters. Your silence mattered. Your pain mattered. Your survival mattered. Healing honors the past without letting it control the future. If today you feel God gently touching something you rarely speak about, stay present. You do not need to rush understanding. Healing unfolds in God's timing. As this episode continues, allow God to keep creating safety within you. Let awareness grow naturally. Let compassion replace judgment. Healing does not require you to relive everything. It requires you to trust God with what surfaces. And God, who sees even what you never said out loud, is healing those places, quietly, faithfully, and with great care. Healing reaches its deepest place when God begins to touch the parts of you that learn to stay hidden. These are not always dramatic wounds. Often, they are quiet pains, moments that were never acknowledged, emotions that were never allowed to exist, needs that were never met. Over time, the heart learned to adapt by becoming silent. God never mistakes silence for absence. He knows what was buried to survive. He understands what you learned to carry alone. And when He heals these hidden places, He does so with extraordinary gentleness. Hidden pain shapes the inner world. It influences how safe you feel. It affects how deeply you trust. It quietly informs how you relate to others and to God. Because it was never spoken, it was never processed. God heals by bringing understanding where confusion lived. Healing often begins with recognition. You start noticing emotional patterns that once felt random. Certain reactions feel familiar. Certain situations trigger a response deeper than the moment deserves. God is not exposing you to shame you. He is helping you understand yourself with compassion. Understanding changes how you relate to pain. Instead of fighting it, you begin to listen. Instead of suppressing it, you allow it space. God teaches you that pain acknowledged loses power. God heals hidden wounds by restoring safety. Safety is essential for healing. God creates an environment where the heart no longer needs to protect itself. His presence communicates what words often cannot. You are safe now. This safety allows honesty. Not forced honesty, not pressured confession, but gentle awareness. You may notice emotions surfacing in quiet moments. A sadness you can't fully explain. A grief that feels older than the present moment. A tenderness that surprises you. These emotions are not setbacks. They are signs that healing is active. God does not overwhelm the heart. He works at a pace that honors your capacity. He reveals only what you are ready to hold. This pacing is intentional. God heals in layers to protect you. Hidden pain often formed beliefs. Beliefs about worth. Beliefs about safety. Beliefs about responsibility. God gently challenges these beliefs with truth. He replaces self-blame with grace. He replaces fear with reassurance. He reminds you that what you endured does not define who you are. Healing reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as broken or weak. You begin to see yourself as someone who survived, adapted, and is now being restored. God honors the resilience that kept you going, and now invites rest. God also heals by allowing grief. Some pain was never grieved because you were too busy surviving. God creates space for grief without fear of collapse. Grief acknowledged brings release. It honors what was lost without letting it control the present. Healing grief does not mean reliving trauma. It means allowing truth to replace silence. God heals what you don't talk about by restoring emotional permission. Permission to feel without judgment. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to acknowledge pain without explaining it away. This permission changes everything. Hidden pain often lives in the body. Tension, fatigue, restlessness. As healing progresses, you may notice physical shifts. Relaxation, deeper rest, a calmer nervous system. God's healing touches the whole person. God heals hidden places because they matter deeply to Him. Nothing about your story was insignificant. Nothing you endured was overlooked. God's healing honors every chapter without forcing you to revisit it in pain. Healing also reshapes prayer. You no longer feel the need to perform. Silence becomes acceptable. Tears become prayer. God listens to what your heart says even when words fail. God does not demand explanation. He meets you where you are. As healing deepens, reactions soften. Trust grows slowly. Emotional weight lifts. These changes may feel subtle, but they are powerful. They signal that healing is taking root. God heals what you don't talk about so it no longer controls you from the shadows. When pain remains hidden, it influences decisions quietly. When healed, it loses authority. You regain freedom. If today you sense God touching something you never spoke aloud, remain present. You do not need to analyze everything. Healing does not require full understanding. It requires trust. Trust that God is gentle. Trust that He is wise. Trust that He knows what He is doing. Healing is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming whole. God is restoring the parts of you that learned to stay silent. He is bringing peace to places that carried weight alone. And He is doing it patiently, safely, and lovingly. You are not exposed. You are being healed. Let's pray together. God, we come before You just as we are. We do not bring explanations or polished words. We bring our hearts, even the parts that stayed silent for a long time. You already know what we never spoke aloud, and You meet us with compassion, not judgment. Thank You for being a God who sees beneath the surface. You see the emotions we learned to hide. You see the pain we carried quietly. You see the moments we survived by staying silent. And still, You stayed near. God, we invite You into the places we rarely talk about, into the memories that still ache quietly, into the feelings we minimized to keep moving, into the wounds we never had words for. We trust You with them now. Teach us that healing does not require explanation, that we do not need to justify our pain or make it sound reasonable. Help us rest in the truth that what hurt us mattered, because we matter to You. God, restore safety to our inner life. Where silence once felt necessary, bring peace. Where vulnerability felt dangerous, bring reassurance. Where fear kept emotions locked away, bring gentle freedom. Help us stop judging ourselves for what still hurts. Replace self-criticism with compassion. Replace shame with understanding. Replace fear with the assurance of Your presence. Let us feel what we feel without condemnation. God, heal what was never processed. Heal grief that had no space to exist. Heal disappointment that was never acknowledged. Heal emotional weight we carried alone for too long. Touch the places that shaped us quietly. If our bodies learn to hold tension, bring release. If our hearts learn to stay guarded, bring rest. If our spirits learn to stay silent, bring gentle voice again. God, teach us how to rest while You heal. Not to force progress, not to rush understanding, but to trust Your pace. Thank You for healing us in layers. Thank You for protecting our hearts as You restore them. Thank You for not overwhelming us with more than we can hold. We give You permission to continue Your work. Heal what You reveal. Reveal what You will heal. Restore what was wounded in silence. We trust You with our story, even the parts we never shared. Thank You for staying close. Thank You for being patient. Thank You for loving us fully, including the parts we didn't know how to talk about. We rest in Your presence now. Amen. As we come to the end of this episode, allow yourself to carry this truth gently. Healing does not need an audience. Some of the most important work God does happens quietly, in places no one else sees. And that is enough. You are not weak because you stayed silent. You were surviving. And God honors that. The places you didn't talk about were never invisible to God. He stayed near while you carried what felt too heavy to name. And now, He is healing those places, not by forcing words, but by restoring peace. Healing does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like a sigh of relief. Sometimes it feels like softened reactions. Sometimes it feels like rest where tension once lived. These subtle changes matter. They are signs that healing is taking root. As you move back into your day, there is no need to rush the process. You do not have to explain your journey to anyone. Healing unfolds at a pace that protects you. God is not measuring progress by speed. He is guiding it with care. If today you feel tender, Be gentle with yourself. If today you feel lighter, receive it as grace. If today you feel unsure, stay close to God. Every response is welcome in this season. Healing what you don't talk about does not mean reopening wounds carelessly. It means allowing God to bring peace where silence once carried weight. It means trusting that God knows how to restore without harming. You are safe with Him. God is not exposing you. He is covering you with care. As you continue walking forward, allow trust to remain your guide. Let compassion replace self-judgment. Let rest replace striving. And let healing continue quietly, without pressure to perform. You do not need to become someone else. You are being restored to wholeness. Thank you for spending this time here. If this episode resonated with your heart, continue this journey of healing with God. Allow Him to keep touching what was hidden, gently and patiently. Remain soft. Remain honest. Remain close. God is healing you, even in silence.